What's good, everybody? This is Brian, your host of the Two Preachers in a Popcorn Box podcast, excuse me, and my co host.
DT in the building.
What's good again, guys? Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of this podcast. Of course, this podcast can be found where all podcasts are available. Um, if you're watching us right now, you're watching us on YouTube as well as Facebook Live. So, at the bottom of the screen there, you should see our social media handles. Please make sure that you are following us there as well. Well, listen, guys, today's episode, we will be talking about the movie Beats. I mentioned in the intro that you guys have not yet heard that I feel that this particular movie is a hidden gem. It's one of those movies that Netflix pretty much produces that isn't marketed very, very well, but
Right.
it is a really, really great movie. And so we're going to dive right into it. All right. So, Derek,
Yo.
this movie here is a very interesting one. It is set in a urban, I think the south side of Chicago.
For sure. Yep.
And you have this young prodigy,
Mhm.
musical genius who suffers a tremendously unfortunate traumatic event, losing his sister. And so this particular moment kind of shapes the rest of the movie as far as this prodigy's response to any type of trouble or dramatic event in his life. So August is the name of the prodigy. And so I wanted to first talk about how trauma can bring the walls around us to the point to where we feel claustrophobic and
Right.
that it produces some type of anxiety. How does life sometimes trap us in our trauma?
I think ultimately life traps us in our trauma so much so in every capacity. Because you can't. Trauma is so uniquely defined that anybody can have trauma based upon the environment that is. I'm not trying to define the word with a word that is traumatic or aggressive to them. In
Mhm.
whatever state of mind that may be in. And then once trauma happens, we build a life based upon the trauma that we've received. And then we create this dysfunctional life based upon what we've dealt with, what we've been through, what we've seen, what we've felt. And it just becomes a part of our life. So I really think that everybody in almost every capacity has some level of trauma.
Yeah.
Because a background can dictate something that whatever you're not used to, and it's hit you on so many levels that it can become traumatic. And so it's very, so it's very unique to say that because we grade people's traumatic issues by what we went through.
Oh, yeah, that's real.
And then we get in this place where you didn't live like I lived, so you don't know. But that doesn't mean that they don't have their version of trauma. And I learned that is that trauma it's severe, but it's serious. But I think we need to get to the point of stop grading people's trauma by what we've been through. So,
Absolutely. Because what seems minor to me
mhm.
is it could be the most difficult thing you've ever dealt with. And you are so true when it comes to how we relate to other people's trauma. We always center on ourselves, which is
Mhm.
opposite of what the conversation dictates, right?
Right.
So if I'm having a conversation and I'm sharing with you how this event has shaped my life, you are right. We always bring the spotlight back on ourselves, and that doesn't really help the conversation at all
Right.
because the whole point of opening up is to find ways to deal with trauma. So I
Right,
think you highlighted one key point is that if we are approached and someone is vulnerable enough to open up their life experiences that was very traumatic, first thing we need to do is listen
right,
and change our point of view, or just get rid of it altogether, right?
right.
And just be a receiver instead of a solution. Because a lot of times, that initial release of trauma, there's not a solution that's needed at the moment.
It's not. But the unique thing about that is that your trauma can trigger others' trauma. And that's how we
Mhm.
get to that place of comparison. Because, okay, you had trauma, then automatically the thing here it is that I've never dealt with is still apparent and real to me because what you said reminded me of what I didn't forgive myself for or what happened to me. So, and automatically I'm trapped in my trauma, just like August was in
Right,
Beats. He was trapped in his trauma, seeing his sister getting killed. And so, and his safe haven was his room and the music that his sister was in love with. And
right,
so, and here it is, we build a functionable life based on the dysfunction that happens living trapped. And I mean, it's so apparent with so many people because our response actually are signals and signs that there's trouble somewhere that we have not fixed. Again, when somebody says I've been through this and you automatically go to your trauma and you turned it on to you, that's letting them know that's a weak area, that's an area of issue. And so, but you got to be mature enough to see that. And so,
yeah,
and with August and here it is another thing about August. You got, and then there are people that enable certain folks. August's mother
yeah,
enabled him to a major degree. He wasn't going to school. Baby, it's gonna be okay, which is fine with the baby, it's gonna be okay part. But there are some things that in the African American community, we just shelter traumatic people and we don't really help them overcome traumatic events or issues that arise. We just cover it up and keep it moving. And I think that's an issue in most of our culture is that some African Americans, Black people, don't
hmm,
believe therapy works, counseling works. But we have to develop, and then we develop the wrong way, or we build these. I don't even want to use. I can't even get the term, but it's just these self-sufficient bubbles where we
hmm,
function in a way where we're okay, but we're not okay. And that's
yeah,
what August did in his room making music.
for sure. Because many times we make dysfunction look well
Oh
and look
yeah.
good. You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
We're able to function well in our own dysfunction because this is all we know,
Right.
right? Um, because as crazy as the outside world was in their opinion to August, August was okay in his
Right.
room. You know, he had his alarm set when he was going to see Naya,
Right.
and he was producing all this amazing music. And then as people were trying to see, hey, why is August in his room all day? Then you have these opinions of what
Right.
they thought was going on.
Right.
Although it looked strange, but to August, he knew that this was his safe space, even if it wasn't the best place for him from a complete point of view.
Correct. Correct. I mean, and it's so many things that that are wrapped up in him, and basically the movie is just like you said, built around him, built around the gifts that he has, and the adversity of overcoming the internal trauma. I mean, the external issues of getting
Yeah,
back to society. Mingling with people. He still had wants and desires. Set the alarm clock, like you said, to see Naya walk past every day, and then these judgmental thoughts come, and then you got somebody outside that is willing to defend him on every point. Naya was trying to defend him with his friends and whatnot. So you
yeah,
got all of these things that happen when it comes to traumatic events, but really, again, we are trapped by trauma and we become dysfunctional, but we actually live somewhat functionable by coping with the dysfunction of what trauma has done. And a lot of people do that throughout life. And then we never really address. It's got a lot of people that never really address. And so this movie actually helps people realize that it's important to address your trauma, because there are successful things that can happen to you when you conquer what you're trapped in.
Yeah,
So it, and it,
absolutely.
yeah, so I think that's very important. I love this movie outside of certain things. I mean, I'm trying to get to my salty butter spot. So I mean, I'm trying to.
We're gonna do one more point and then we'll get to it. We'll
Okay,
get to
well, we're gonna
it.
do that.
So let's talk about the prodigy that is August, man.
Yeah,
Um, it is they did a really great job of the mental creativity that it takes to create the beats
right,
and the vocals and the instrumentation. All of that was so amazing because that's really how creative people's minds look.
right,
We're able to see all of the different charts. We're able to hear everything,
right,
and so it's crazy that you know, even though he had moments of high tension and moments of high anxiety, right?
right,
Um, to the other extreme, he was able to produce this high level, high quality, um, highly creative music that he just kind of kept inside because, like you mentioned earlier, it was his happy place. It was
right,
the one place where he wasn't judged, that he was able to really express himself. And one of the points that you mentioned is that our gifts have potency, which I
yeah.
realize is a favorite word of yours, by the way.
Yes, it is. It is.
Uh,
It's pretty powerful, son. It's pretty
our
powerful.
gifts have potency
Right.
and potential. So
Mhm.
expound on it a little bit more.
Um, a gift is what it is. A gift unwrapped has the potential to be powerful and the potency to be deadly when it's used in the wrong capacity, because that gift is what it is. It's that when you put the work into it, first you see it, then you put the work into it, then you use it for productivity.
Yeah.
So it has the potential to be potent and powerful in the place that we can use it in a proper manner. So it's very important. And see, the thing about it is that certain people have been gifted to sing, to dance, to do particular things, but it can be inadvertently used, and that power can be influential to lead in the wrong path instead of singing for God. No offense to anybody in the industry. So just I'm about to hit you with no offense to anybody in the industry, but and I understand there are different genres of music in different areas. I'm not taking away from anybody's creativity, but we are giving gifts for the glory of God.
Mm-hmm.
We're not giving gifts for the edification and for the financial building. I know that's a pretty thin place, and I want to make sure I clarify this, because we are gifted to live accordingly, but they are to glorify God.
Sure.
They are to bless us, correct? But that blessing should also lead to lead people to Christ. And I know we have different places, and I know that I'm stepped on by 10,000 toes, and I'm quite sure I hope they comment, so we're a little feedback. But that's just my opinion. You have the power, you have the potential to be potent when you're used in the proper manner, and so it's very delicate. It's a gift to be used for the glory
Mm-hmm.
of God, not for the glory of men and for
So,
the glitter of money. I'm
so
just
what
saying.
you're saying is godly gifts are for edification,
Right.
and any finances or fame that we gain is a byproduct of us giving God glory and using our gifts, right?
Correct. But
Okay.
it should not, you should not. Oh, excellent way to put that, by the way. I like the way you put that in a nice little pretty bow. You my brother. God dog it, boy, you my brother. I like it. I like it. I like it. But
Yeah,
it's important though that we don't allow the glory to go to our heads.
absolutely.
Humility is the only way to exceed in a godly way. So again, I mean, I'm just saying, everybody has the potential to be powerful. Every
Hmm.
gift, whether it's in music, whether it's art, whether it's dancing, whether it's whatever, finance, whether it's whatever it may be, it's a gift. And so that gift has the potential to be potent and powerful. All
Hmm.
of us do when we're using it properly.
Yeah.
So potentially we can be deadly, but potentially we can be awesome. So I'm just saying, it just depends on the influence and the direction. I'm not Dre, August, excuse me, because
Hmm.
I'm a whole other shows that Anthony Anderson did. But
Keep
anyway,
in the question.
so let me get on back. So Reese
Yeah.
found out August is, and that's why it was so, the potential. He saw the potential, and he saw the potency because he was so interested in what he heard. He heard potential.
Yeah.
And that potential drew him in. And from that potential point, and then he found out how powerful and potent he was when he heard him. He says, now you're just messing with me. When he started just popping
Yeah.
on,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
left, right, left, right, left, right, like this beat and that beat, this beat and that beat. And he's seen it. And that can be alluring because all of a sudden Reese eyes lit up and things started happening. He said, man, you know what we can do with that? I'm a producer. I can do something with that.
Yeah.
You trying to take somebody else's gift and do something with it. I'm gonna let you.
Well, no, I mean, you brought it up, so we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. So it's important that as the person with the gift,
Uh-huh.
that we believe in ourselves,
True.
believe in the gift,
True.
and then not allow anyone's ambition to run away with our gift,
Correct.
right? Because the history of the music industry with Black people is that record execs see the talent, they see the gifting, and
Right.
because they know the entire process, they know how to use or get over on these artists because the
Right.
artists, they are only shown the glitz and the glamour,
Right.
right?
Right.
But they're not shown the details and the inner working of the industry. And so you have people um, like Reese's character that swoop in a lot of times and take these gifts and they're able to use them for their own benefit.
Right.
Um, and so it's this excitement from Reese's character that kind of drives like the second half of the movie
Correct.
because, this same drive and ambition sadly led to the death of a previous producer and a
Yeah.
previous beat maker. And Reese never really was able to kind of let that go.
Right.
Right. We
Right.
talked about trauma from
Right.
August's point of
Perfect.
view. Now we look at the trauma from Reese's point of view, where I think he's always wanted an opportunity to redeem himself.
Right.
But just because an opportunity presents itself doesn't mean that that's always the opportunity to use to do that because he saw the first thing that was outstanding. And like you mentioned, he said, we're going to do all of this stuff. And August is like, I mean, that's cool and all, but I'm happy where I am.
Right. Right. Redemption should not be on the backs of others.
Yeah, man.
We should not be riding other people because of the trauma that we've been through, and we see a redeemable moment by using someone else's gift so we can get pulled out of and get our name clean because of what was connected to our trauma. We see an opportunity for somebody else's gift to be positioned in a place that I now can go back where I came from. And
Yeah,
sometimes where you came from shouldn't be the place that you go back to.
right.
And so it's a lot tied into that because all of these things triggered. because again, like you said earlier, we didn't know that Reese had trauma. We just knew that August had trauma,
Right.
and so Reese built a life after the loss. Dysfunctional security guard.
Mm-hmm.
Wife was the principal. They were getting a divorce. He trying to redeem that.
Right.
He was low. I'm talking about all of these things, all of these losses, in a place where a man should be leading. He's now in a different position. All of this mixed up with that trauma, trying to redeem himself, trying to get my wife back, trying to get my life back, trying to get my clout back, based upon what everybody else is saying and doing. So it was a lot, and so and again, it's just mostly so many other things that was wrapped in it. But I really like the way the transformation was shown at August's level, how traumatic his situation was,
Mm-hmm.
but also how dysfunctional, and you get to see how dysfunctional Reese had become based upon what he was doing. Because now you climbing up fire escapes and knocking on doors and waiting till the mama leave and doing all this other stuff. He said, because August said, my mama's gonna be here in 11 minutes and 11 seconds. He said that means
Right.
I got like 9 or 10 minutes before she show up.
I'm like, come
So
on, bro.
like, bro, you finna get the man in trouble. So all of this stuff is, but he did an amazing job on the character, amazing job on the character. But it does show the plight of a man trying to redeem himself by any means necessary.
Right. Last word you said. By any means
Right.
necessary.
In the beginning, well, in the middle, somewhere up in there. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because I respect you more if you're honest with me up front about what we trying to do. And what the very end of the movie, I think, was he had, a realization that this entire goal and journey that he was on was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have let the mama and August know, because like you dragging these people all the
Right.
way through to this signing of the contract. You got me
Right.
excited. I'm gonna get my mama out of the ghetto, right?
Right.
And then you burn the contract. I'm like, I mean, I would have been mad too. I would have been
Oh,
fired.
mad is a nice way of putting it.
Listen,
You be way past mad, bro.
coming from a person who has musical aspirations, like you get me to the seat of the
Right.
table, and
Right.
then you pull a rug from under me like that.
Right.
Nah, fam.
Right. But it does show the road to redemption is not always pretty. It's because
Mm-hmm.
at the moment of self-reflection, what you created may also be the same thing you damage.
Yeah.
Simply because your beginning stages transform your somewhere in the middle to the end.
Yeah.
Because he was so excited, again, realizing the trauma that he dealt with and the redeeming qualities that he saw an opportunity to do something to be redeemed. That mind created so much that it also falsely brought August along the way to create a world that August was excited about. But then Reese also knew the damage of that same world, because you
Mm.
can tell the different meetings that he was having, with Dave East. I can't remember his character's name
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
so, and the other guy, the one that was at the record company.
Parents.
Yeah, so all of these people that he was with, and then they remembered his trauma and remembered the dirt and reminded him of the dirt and you still here and man, it's been a while, and all of these things that reminded him that the place that he was at, it wasn't no good. And then I think the most important thing when it started to shift for Reese in his character is that when he got the young lady and August together with the track, and she did a phenomenal job. And then August got out of that house to overcome some of his trauma because he had Naya with him to kind of pull him out of that. We ain't even
Mm-hmm.
touch that, to a place where sometime later, after the young lady did her spot on the stage, August came up. Then a couple of scenes later on, everything that Reese worked for gone, and I
Right.
think that reality shifted him. and made him realize that the effort that he put in really wasn't meant for him to have.
Yeah.
So, and that shift made him at the end of the movie realize that if I allow August to do this, it may not be beneficial for him in his mind. But like you said, I'm finna get out the ghetto, get my mama out the
Listen.
house, and so but again, Reese created a world. When his self-reflection hit him, he had to destroy the world that he created. He didn't have to, but he did.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful in the traumatic mindset that you're in when you're building stuff with people, and when you come out of your trauma, you now have to break down what you built up with folks that really have a genuine heart for you. So you
Absolutely.
got to be careful when it comes to the things of trauma and the things of tragedy and the dysfunctional world that we create and the self-sustaining bubbles that we create and walking around looking like we're fine and we're not. And then this internal trauma comes along and you meet these people that you can help and do whatever you may be, whatever the case may be. And then eventually when you wake up, you are no longer that dude, and now you're ripping the shreds of life that somebody knows that's real for them, but it's no longer real for you. A lot of people doing that, man. A lot of
Yeah,
people.
for sure. And I think what's interesting is, Reese went into the situation focused on redeeming himself,
Right,
right? Focused on getting his name back up to where it was back in his heyday.
right,
But once he came into the realization that, I might not ever get there because the game is not the same like it was, previous,
right,
then, like you mentioned, he started to, you know, my life might not return to where it's supposed to be, but I'm not going to damage your life,
right,
um, and scar you from pursuing whatever dream you have, because we can be super talented, super gifted,
right,
and may not have the dream of being a star, right?
right,
We're and that's okay. Like, it's okay for you to have these gifts, and not to achieve the fame, excuse me, and glamour that normally comes with it.
right,
But for those of us who are mentors and those of us who are encouragers, it's important for us to have those honest conversations. We can open up the world to them to see what's possible. But then at the end of the day, it's their choice whether
right,
or not they want to, move in that direction and reach those particular goals. Because once they've made that decision, then we are the pushers. Then we open up the opportunities, open up the doors. And then I think we qualify to have those back channel conversations, because really Reese was never qualified to have those conversations for August because
right,
his motive and his intention was wrong.
right,
Right.
right. And but he came from a damaged place because again, losing the artist, losing that, and then you
Right.
shifting, losing the marriage, losing your position. You came from a damaged place, and again, but we do that. We come from
Mm-hmm.
damaged places. And you said something. I just wanted to say, when it comes to people and their dreams, and you have these gifts, we have to be careful of the snakes in the grass.
Yes, sir. Talk about them snakes, bro.
I'm not saying this art, and I'm not saying Reese Reese played that role because he just saw a gift in August, but potentially everybody that has a gift that people see potential, you just got to be careful of the snakes in the grass when it comes to puffing your head up so they
Yeah,
can become famous.
absolutely.
So I wanted to hit that point, didn't want to go miss that point, and
Yeah,
so yeah, so all in all, Beats fire movie.
good deal. Well, listen, it's salty butter time.
I'm
Salty
talking
butter
about
time.
Joe.
All right.
I
So I'm
like
gonna let you go first, and
I
then I'll
like
do
the
my
I
mine
like the
at
way
the
you
end.
sang that. I like the way you sang that. You might need to we might need to throw that in there. Might need to sing that part. I'm talking about. Oh, I can't me. No, I can't do it. Never mind. I can't do it. Can't do it. My bad.
Yeah,
Me.
yeah, yeah. Get it in. Get it in.
I couldn't do it. Okay, my bad. I'm just saying you did that. You harmonized by yourself, like the way you did it. Bless the Lord. And here it is. All right. Salted butter. Salted butter.
Yeah.
My salted butter part from the movie, like I said, awesome movie. But oh, as a Christian,
Uh-huh.
certain things and you hear they kind of, make you twinge a little bit.
Okay.
That mean that's tweak and cringe. It's twinge. I'm making up words. I'm trying to tell you. Don't let the light skin fool you. I am African American. I have my own dictionary. Anyway, um, it's about this big though, because I keep changing the words. So anyway,
I need you to write them down.
although I did, but I keep erasing them because the definition keep changing based upon the situation. But so salty butter spot. The 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 intro of the language you got to get past. So I
Yeah.
wanted to say some of us miss the message because of the mess. And like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. And so my salted butter is we don't always have to portray our people as potty mouth folks.
Got it.
So because I mean you can see the same tragedy, the same trauma, the same thing, because here it is. Everybody is not that way.
Mm-hmm.
Because we do have respectable, responsible. I don't have to use particular language to prove my point or express my emotion or get my aggressive tone in all of these things. So for me, I mean, I understand what the culture, the language in South Side of Chicago, all of these things, I got that. But sometimes and we got this channel for a reason. Some of the things as Christians we can't get past because
Okay.
once we hear one or two, oh, this, that, and the other, and certain, and then here it is. There are messes in your life that people can't get past. And so when you start opening your mind, certain messes, you got to get past to get the message because the message may be something that you need. So it's very vital that sometimes, because here it is, all of us did not come out with thou, those, these, and old Father
Come
gods
on.
and all this other stuff. We had to mature to that place. And let me not, because certain times we get in positions where as we're Christians, I'm in, oh my goodness, I can't believe you saying that. Oh my wowzers. So we get to this place when we're so redefined and
Yeah. Real talk.
so reserved and so all these other man, we people. So
Right.
stop and forgetting. Don't I'm not saying you know you can shift your life, but don't remember where you shifted from. You can change your
Mm-hmm.
conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody you walk in contact with is not gonna talk like you. Is not gonna walk like you. Jesus went to the lowest of the low
Sure.
to pull them out the dirt to get them to accept, accept God. So we have to do the same thing. So my salted butter is kind of an in between that the language in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
woo, make my head pop off. But the background was fine. Then go ahead, sorry.
No, listen, at the beginning, it was a lot to open the movie. And I think
Yeah,
that's what it was.
it was. It
Because
was.
of where it was situated, like you just getting comfortable trying to see what the whole movie is about. And
Right.
like the first 3 minutes, it's like 20 cuss words. And I was like,
Yeah. Plus some other stuff. Plus
right,
some other stuff.
absolutely.
Some derogatory, nasty. We are not. We ain't all grimy. We ain't
Yeah,
all grimy.
yeah,
And so, even though that's life, and I know that here it is, that voice still needs to be heard because again,
right.
that is life. But for us to get the message, I'm a Christian, so I've changed. So some words now feel like somebody's putting their fingers on a chalkboard and bring it down a tad
I
bit.
hear you. I hear
So
you.
that's my salty butter.
Cool. So mine is more of I don't like this movie trope versus the fact that it was like annoying. So what you see in a lot of movies is that when people get upset, what's the first thing they do? if they're in a room, they start throwing stuff and throwing up beds
The
and I'm
tantrum.
like, now I'm not. I'm very mild mannered, very. So when I get mad, I start crying, like
Gotcha.
because I'm not really physical. But it's always, turning over tables. Dude really could have damaged his equipment. He was so mad.
Right.
He flipped over the beat machine, flipped over his bed, knocked down his computer, right? And
Oh,
I
out the
think
window.
there's more ways to express anger
Right.
than doing the exact same thing anytime a character is in a room and they mad.
Right.
That's all.
Uh, these these characters right here, them
Mm-hmm.
brown skin, them dark ones, all you want to, you know, it's because I think for me the movies and I agree. I think it was one of those over the top movies because I'm watching them like my face changed. I'm like, dude, you're gonna have to clean that mess up eventually. What are you doing?
Right.
So, and I guess all the issues that he had, I can somewhat understand, but it was one of them scenes we just kind of just cut that out because you're just doing too much. So you're right, Britt.
Right, Brett.
Change it up,
Change it
change it
up,
up, change it up, change it up.
please.
I like, yeah, just a little bit. I mean, so find a, we mad, be able to speak my piece without having to use profane, flip tables, put out guns, get knives, stab people, chase you around the block.
Now, something that I think was something people do as well was when Reese got mad and punched the mirror,
Uh huh.
right?
Uh
You
huh.
see that a lot. But I think for his age, it kind of fit. So it didn't really annoy me that much. But for August, it just seemed like it was the wrong thing because this is what he cherishes. This is his
Right.
safe
Right.
space. And um I would have rather seen him like kick, slam the door, like do something that kind of fit the character a little
Right.
bit more.
Right. And I agree because I'm like your sister. That's the only thing you got connected to her, and
Right.
you flip all of that out, and you just lose it on the very thing that has kept peace in your head the entire time.
Right.
But it does, to a point. We sometimes do that in that
Yeah.
rage. We
Mm-hmm.
go to the one place we got peace, and we gonna tear that piece up too. Why would you? But anyway, so to each his own. But you're right, Britt. Change it up. We got to be able to change it up. Yeah. So I agree. Two salty butter spots, real good spots. But all in all, get past the first 5 minutes of the movie and some other
Yeah.
parts. But the
Good deal.
lot of strong points in the movie. I love it. Uh, so a lot of
And
strong
I
points.
will
It was
say
fire to
this.
me. So it was beats.
Yeah. Because of the previous movies that
So
we had been watching.
I think it all in all phenomenal. And
Yeah. So because of
huh?
the previous
I'm sorry, I
movies
didn't
that
say it.
we had been watching,
I kept talking. My bad.
now you good. I actually started getting a little anxious. Because I
I
was
think
like,
yeah,
Lord,
very very
please don't
valuable
let
points to express in this movie. So um, I think it's very important that we continue to do a lot of moving forward when it comes.
Mhm, definitely. Well, listen, we guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Next week, we are going to the 80s, guys. We are watching the movie Goonies, right? Childhood movie Goonies. We love it so much. So make sure that you find that movie. Once we're able to find it, I'll post it in the Salty Butter Crew so that we can kind of share where you can find it. All right. Again, this podcast is available everywhere where podcasts can be heard. For my Apple Podcast listeners, please make sure that you leave us a review, 5 stars, please. and follow and subscribe. Also, please like our YouTube page as well, Two Popcorn Preachers, so that we can grow that channel. And until next week, on behalf of my co-host DT, I am Brian. You guys have a great evening.
Be blessed.